I've been searching for a gold mine, been digging for a long time, looking for a diamond of the rarest kind. Then one day I found a perfect treasure, a worth of impossible measure. I started to pray, then I heard you say you would forever be mine. I struck love. Now that I have found you, I struck love.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
We are here for Coffee and Conversations, a special afternoon edition. So whether you're having a cup of coffee or tea time, Barbara and I are here. I'm LaWanna Bradford, co-founder of Celebrate You, and here with my amazing co-founder and partner, the brilliant Queen Diamond herself, Barbara J. Beckley.
Oh, thank you, Queen LaWanna, the best expert that I know that's in every situation when it comes to strategy and anything else, because she has helped me in my life, the wonderful LaWanna Bradford. We are here, Coffee and Conversation. CNC.
CNC. CNC with LB.
Hey, I like that. See? That's catchy. CNC with LB.
We may need to do a sizzle reel on that one.
So I know you, LaWanna. In the next 2 hours, you'll be sending me a reel talking about, hey, guess what I just did? So I'm just waiting for it now. I know it's gonna happen.
Oh gosh, this is great. We are here. Coffee and Conversations comes to you every month, once a month, the first Saturday of every month, typically 10 a.m. Eastern. But again, because of this special episode, Barbara and I decided to come on, mix things up a little bit in the afternoon. And we are here celebrating Women's History Month. And the theme is women who advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So this is Women's History Month. And then International Women's Day, the theme is inclusion. So two different days, two different focuses, sponsored by two different communities, but we are globally recognizing the voices and the contributions of women in the past and women today who are making living history, right?
Yes. And so excited. As soon as it came, I was like, yay, here's our month again. But just learning so many, I don't know, I just cheer for us as the queens, women. But we learn so much from each other over and over again as we come into these months. And I always tell people, just continue to be the awareness of, just take it in this month. That's why I tell people, and beyond.
Yes. And for those of you that may be seeing Barbara and I for the first time, follow us on Instagram, the LaWanna Bradford or Diamond Factor Experience, and definitely tune into all the wonderful things that we're doing within the Celebrate You Women Embracing Wellness community, which is a platform designed to elevate and expand women mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. We believe women can be the change that we want to see in the world, but also the change that the world sees.
Yes. And we do need to make, I'm going to be like Michael Jackson, because I know LaWanna loves Michael Jackson. We need to make that change. Make that change.
Yes. Well, I'll let you kick us off, Barbara, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this, and I love how, we come every month, the beginning of the month, and we kind of give you that, the whole thing about what's happening in those months, like special holidays, special important days to think about. So me and LaWanna gets together and we say, okay, let's bring out some things that's really, maybe you forgot, or some things that in the middle. So I'm going to start off. We're going to go through our calendar for March.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So first, I'll skip. It's funny because me and LaWanna, I'm going to have to say this because I'm just open. I had the list. She had the list. And it was like some of the lists we both had together. And then some ones I didn't have, she had, and I said, oh God, how we gonna pick so many good days? So we narrowed it down. So the first day is March 2nd, and it's National Read Across for March 2nd. And that's
Read
today.
Across America. Read Across America.
And this was born basically by, everybody know Cat in the Hat book, you know, those kind of readings back in your childhood days. Well, it's Dr. Seuss' birthday today.
Happy birthday, Dr. Seuss.
And I know everybody's been touched by his books. Happy birthday. He was born March 2nd, 1904 in Springfield, Massachusetts. And he passed away September 24th, 1991 in California. He was residing in California. So they marked what would have been the 120th birthday for him today. Isn't that wild?
Wow.
Whoa. So we celebrate his life and, you know, contributions to National Read Across America Day, is known as Dr. Seuss Day too, because each year they want to focus on, you know, reading and highlighting diversity children's books. And I like that because in all of his books that I read, one thing about in all his books, you can put yourself in his books. I don't care what kind of, you know, woman, girl, boy, what race, whatever. You can always put yourself in his books and his story. LaWanna.
Yeah, I love that. And I think Dr. Seuss was just amazing in his creativity and innovation, and like you said, weaving stories, challenging children to be more open-minded in how they looked at things. And my very favorite book, well, let me go before I say my favorite book. The one thing about Read Across America is organizations and schools are actually going to libraries or are going to schools, and they're reading to the children. They're reading to the elementary school children, and I've done that a couple years in a row, and it's so rewarding. And I actually went to schools that were disadvantaged and realized that many of the students in those schools, Barbara, didn't have books at home.
Wow.
I mean, the only books they had access to were in the classroom or in their library. And so one of the things that I know that we did in the workplace was we asked people to donate books. And when we went and participated in the Read Across America Day, we were bringing, you know, just hundreds of books in so that the kids could take home with them, so that the kids could have a book. Now, think about that. So here we are talking about Women's History Month, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And equity, meaning children have the same ability to learn as another child. But some children don't even have books at home. And we take it for granted, right?
Yeah.
It just really blew my mind to know that when I was speaking to some of the teachers. I thought, wow.
Yeah. You know, I just want to add to that because I'm going to put a kudos out for my dad right now. My mother, when I was growing up, at the beginning, when I was younger, I didn't have that many books. I just had the Cat and Hat books, to be honest with you. And my dad kept pushing her to say, our daughter needs to have books to read and to, you know, get her mind flowing even outside of the school when she's in school. My mother said, well, they have all the books there. Just let her read those. And she come back and do what she had to do here. She'll need all these books. Well, that's when encyclopedia, okay, I'm telling my age, when we used to order encyclopedias and it wasn't a book, it wasn't online, it wasn't none of that. You got a whole...
That was our Google.
That was our Google. That was our Google. That was our YouTube. What was the encyclopedias in my hand? I could feel it, a paper, right, and see the pictures in it. And my father introduced that, and after that, there was so many books that was coming into my life after that because he pushed it. I'm so glad that he did. And it just didn't just land just in school, but it was outside of school that I was still getting that knowledge. So it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that you brought up encyclopedias because, really there's nothing new under the sun, right? But how were we able to get these global messages?
Yeah.
Encyclopedias.
Yeah, they were wow. And mine and LaWanna, we could say when we seen the encyclopedia and looked at those pictures, we were like, ooh. I mean, it was
Yeah,
it was huge.
It
Yeah.
was huge. And my very first, because I want to hear what your favorite Cat in the Hat book. I'm sorry, not Cat in the Hat. Dr. Seuss book. My very favorite was Green Eggs and Ham.
Oh.
And the reason, well, first of all, all Dr. Seuss books are rhyming, but I love the fact that as I look back as an adult on that book, it was speaking to me about resistance, right? How we can put up walls. So again, this is all, we're still talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, Women's History Month's theme. We can put up walls of resistance if it's something we don't know, something that's unfamiliar, right? Something that looks a little foreign to us, and we can say, I don't like that, right? And how many of us have done that, whether it's individuals you've met or cultures or just diversity in thought, and you put up this wall of resistance because it's different from the way you think. And it's funny because I still can remember a lot of the books where it's like, the resistant one, I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like them in a boat. I do not like them in a moat. I do not like them. Sam I am. And then when he tried it, it's like, oh my gosh, I like green eggs and ham. Right? I like them in the car. I like them near or far. I like them here or there. I like them anywhere. And it's seems so simple, but it's such a deep message that's very relevant to us today, where we can again say, I don't like that. I don't understand it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. But if we just allow ourselves to be a little bit more open, and a little bit more accepting, we find ourselves elevating to a point of awareness, understanding, and hopefully advocacy.
Yes, so true. I love that. I'm glad you brought that up as your favorite book, because that's so many different lessons in that. My favorite one is, and I know everybody probably know from movies and stuff too, The Grinch. And I like The Grinch because it kind of reminded me, well, it reminded me of me. Because not so much of being so mean like he was, the Grinch, but when he was little, when the whole story about when he was younger, he was different than everybody else. And people bullied him and people talked about him and say it was like, what, and it reminded me of me when people used to bully me and say I was from a different planet. And they just said that. And, he grew up where his heart just went really small, like in the movie, to the point where he didn't care. He's like, I'm just going to do what I do now. And he did. But then after, as in the movie states, when you see the movie, you read the book, towards the end, it took a child to get him back for his heart to grow. And not just grow, but it grew beyond, like they said, even more so. And for him to change his life, change his heart, change what he felt. So, I look at that as wherever you're at in your life, whatever happened in your life, whatever you dealt with, people talked or whatever, that to still know that even though you might be different than another person, that you are still important. And, people will still show love to you. Because one thing about that little girl, she showed love to him. And that's all he needed. That's all he was looking for. And so that's.
And it still goes back to our theme, right? Diversity, right? Accepting people who are different than you, allowing them to be, embracing who they are, and hoping in return that you are embraced and loved and accepted for who you are. Thank you for joining us. We've got a person who said, my kids only had library books when they were growing up. Only had library books when they were growing up. The library allowed them to check out 14 books at a time, and then they had several weeks to read them. So yeah, we are so thankful and grateful for
the library.
For libraries, right?
Yeah. I was pushed to go 3 times out the week to the library and at least take out 2 books. that was like a assignment that I had to do, which I'm like, really? But I'm glad for the libraries. And still this day, some people said they feel like they're obsolete, but they're not.
No,
So
not
yes,
not at all. We have
at all.
the amazing Lachelle Akins who's joining us. Welcome, welcome, America's super mom, mother of 15, has homeschooled her children, knows the importance of education and literacy, right? And when we allow our children and we allow ourselves to get back into reading, we open up worlds and opportunities that we did not realize exist. We hear readers are leaders, right? So you want to just challenge yourself. If you haven't been reading, if you feel I don't have time to read, pick up something basic. In fact, I want to hold this up, and this is we're Women's History Month, and since Lachelle is on, this is her book, her collaborative, International Women of the World. And it's uplifting motivational stories. And sometimes you may think, well, I don't feel like reading a book from cover to cover. Well, what's great about collaborative books is there are little small vignettes. There's little small stories, 5 to 10 pages. You can start here and learn, things, life's lessons, things that you can do to change and improve your life and your business. So Lachelle's chapter is My Life's Mask Free. And this chapter talks about her struggle with mental illness and being a high driver, a very successful individual, having to acknowledge this, accept it, and then find the courage and the strength and the tools and means to rise above it. And from her story of triumph, she is now on a mission to help empower women, children, men around the world with messages of hope and inspiration. So again, we're Women's History Month. We're talking about Read Across America Day, and Lachelle is on. I just want to give a special shout out to her. And if you missed her episode on Power of the Pen, which was last Sunday, check it out. Go to e360tv.com, look up Lachelle Akins, and hear a little bit more about inspirational women of the world.
Woohoo. Congratulations.
Oh, someone says, Marva, parents have to encourage the children to read and read to them at a young age, even before they are born. Ooh, reading to them while they're in the womb. Powerful, powerful. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it's something about when you read out loud, it makes a big difference. And I noticed that when I was growing up is because the teacher would tell us in school, they said, okay, read, paragraph, whatever. And, everybody, you get those, all the children at the same time. Really? We got to read it out loud. Yes, you do.
When you said that, I'm going to read this last paragraph of Lachelle's story, My Life Mask Free. And she says, the transformation was the final step that groomed me to teach other women how to do the same thing in their lives. My own journey helped me to expose my fears and sadness with transparency, which led me to create my own fresh start philosophy. My story created a platform to connect with others and to present a safe environment in which to coach women through their own transformation. This journey has allowed me to create new boundaries, systems, and relationships, which has transcended my vision way beyond a lemonade stand. Inspirational women of the world.
Awesome. For the movement for her. That's her mission.
Yes. What else do we have happening in March?
Okay, so March 8th is International Women's Day. So you have Women's History Month. So some people get back and forth with that. Then you have International Women's Day. So with that, this day was a global day celebrating the social, economics, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day is also marked as call to action for accelerating women's equality. They call it IWD, International Women's Day. It has occurred for well over a century, with the first IWD gathering in 1911, supported by over 1 million people. Today, IWD belongs to all groups collectively everywhere. IWD is not country, is not country, group, or organization specific. So I love about that because that's global.
Yeah, it's beautiful movement here in the U.S. March 8th, we definitely celebrate International Women's Day, but it's also a reminder of some of the constraints that were placed on women. So it's actually a day of memorial during the union, or the lack thereof unions. Women in the clothing garment industry. This is back in the early 1900s. In order for them to produce, and this is at the hand of capitalism, to produce and not take long breaks, they were locked in the factory to sew their pieces. And a fire broke out, and I believe it was over 100 women died at the hands of the fire because they were locked in. So it has two meanings here in the U.S., obviously celebrating, as Barbara said, the contributions of women, but also remembering that sometimes we have systems and institutions of oppression that have cost people the biggest sacrifice, and that's of their lives. And so for us here in the United States, we remember those women who died, unfortunately, trying to earn a living.
Yeah, that's why it's good to know and be aware.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, on to happier notes.
Good awareness, though.
Good awareness.
So March 9th, see, now we're having a different day here. Get over it day. I say that every day, LaWanna, to myself. Get over it.
Excuse me.
Be okay. But I'm glad, and LaWanna picked this one, which I'm so glad she did, because this is not only for me in March on that day, this is for me every day. So thank you, LaWanna, for picking some that I use religiously. So basically, this is March 9th, and they said everywhere are encouraged to self-reflect and move on from whatever it is that's weighing on them. They said this was created by Jeff Goldblatt, an entrepreneur who was having trouble getting over an ex-girlfriend. The day has its roots in failed romance, something that's very challenging to get over. Realizing his pain was very relatable, Goldblatt made a website and posted a poem. The rest, as they said, is history. The relationship included. So his relationship didn't last. So today, let's take some time, March 9th, take some time to self-reflect, figure out what's weighing you down, and decide that the past should live in the past. Let's get started and get over it.
I like that. And yeah, I mean, and we know it's easier said than done. And we also know sometimes if we allow ourselves to stay in a state too long, it could spiral into depression and other areas of concern. And so we put it here, kind of just to smile about it, but we also know sometimes it's difficult. If someone is struggling with the loss of a loved one, they don't want to hear get over it, right? But this is, again, just like Barbara said, it's to introspect, realize what is it that's weighing you down, and how can you release it. And sometimes it takes therapy, friends, family, other resources, other tools in order to rise above whatever it is that is holding you down and weighing you down.
Yeah, LaWanna, I was going to ask it. I mentioned something that just happened last night in another community that I'm in called Chemo Buddies. This goes with a little sense about getting over it, but in a good, positive way. So a really senior volunteer passed away yesterday. She was in hospice, and she had stage 4 cancer. We just found out yesterday that she passed. So we put together in the group on the Facebook, a few of us came together and gave the love and everything for this particular person. And I know a lot of people, we're human. We got those feelings, we're feeling it. It just hit us. It's like, oh my God, she's gone. But I still, even in that moment in time, I still changed the trajectory of it because I wanted people to understand that, yeah, we're mourning for this person because we see she was such a light in the world, but we don't want that light to die by us getting so into ourselves and so sad. And every day we're just taking that on to get to, like you said, LaWanna, get to the depressed mode. So I said, everything that she put in us, the laughter she gave us, the talks that she had, the positivity notes that she did all of that. We need to take that and keep moving that into the world because that's what she would have wanted. So, and they said, well, Barbara, and somebody even said, well, I'm just going to get over that quick, Barbara. I said, I'm not saying get over her leaving, but let's do something about what she left here for us. She left a book, 2 or 3 books. She left her, guidance of what she told us to do when certain things go. She was in stage 4 cancer. She was still telling jokes. She was still giving us some life lessons. So, take it into a positive mode and keep it pushing. Keep it moving, keep it dancing, like LaWanna's brother says. I haven't said that in a while. Keep on dancing.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're going to do a quick takeaway and we'll be back, Barbara Beckley and I, LaWanna Bradford, as we talk about Women's History Month and integrating the theme of diversity, equity, and inclusion in what's happening in March. Okay. What else is happening in March? Anything else?
Oh yeah, we have a few more. So let's see. Let me look at my list here. So March 13th is Good Samaritan Day, National Good Samaritan Day. With that, also known as Good Samaritan Involvement Day, is celebrated March 13th every year. It's a day to celebrate and encourage kindness and selflessness despite our differences. The phrase Good Samaritan is based on a biblical parable. The day also commends the death of Catherine Kitty Grossfers, who was killed in New York, a little distant from her own home. It is believed that Kitty would have lived if others had introverted during the attack. On this day, we are reminded to be our brother's keeper in all circumstances.
Oh, I like that. And as you said, it ties right back to women who advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's like Senator John Lewis stated, get into good trouble, necessary trouble, right? So it's like when we know better, we can do better. When we see wrong, we should spotlight it. Mm-hmm. And those that are out there advocating, again, it's like if I don't see diversity, I'm gonna spotlight it. If I don't see equity, if I don't see inclusion, I'm gonna spotlight it. And like you said, this woman had people, and I remember that story. Had people intervened, she would have been alive, but they just sat and looked. I don't want to get involved, right? How many of us do that? You see something happening. I don't want to get involved. That's too risky. What will people think of me? I don't want to be associated with that. That's too political. It's too this, it's too that. But if we don't get involved with those critical things, life and the systems and institutions that support our well-being will never change.
We
got to be willing to step up.
Yeah, so we won't see change.
And help those in need. So I love that.
Wow, that was powerful. I love what you said, LaWanna, about that. If we don't fight, things will never change. So I'm just going back with the women, we're talking about Women's Month in the history. If they didn't step out and do the extra, like you said, and we wouldn't see some of the changes that are from back then that they were fighting for. So yeah. Good. Next day, March 17th, we have St. Patty's, St. Patrick's Day. I would say St. Patty's Day. The Irish observes this day as a religious holiday for over 1,000 years. On St. Patrick's Day, which falls during the Christian season of Lent, Irish families would traditionally attend church in the morning and celebrate in the afternoon. And it's also good to have cabbage that day. Cabbage and corned beef. That's what it said.
Cabbage and corned beef.
That was one of their favorite foods that they was doing when they would celebrate with drinking and dancing and corned beef and cabbage.
And we do have 2 other religious holidays, which is Ramadan and
Easter.
Good Friday in March. Seems like Good Friday keeps moving. March, April, it's like it just.
No. Well, it's funny. And also Easter. Yeah.
Easter's in March this year?
Yeah, it's in March.
Oh, wow.
Yep, we got Palm Sundays, Good Friday, and Easter all together.
And Ramadan. Okay. All in March.
March is fully packed. Okay. We just got 2 more really here. Another good one that I love that LaWanna brought up. March 19th, Let's Laugh Day. Let's Laugh Day. So calling all the giggles, cracklers, the belly laughs. This is a day you've been waiting for, it says. National Let's Laugh Day is a 24-hour joke fest on March 19th, where we celebrate the unity force of laughter, brought to you this year by Laffy Taffy, the candy that has been bringing you and your family little bites of joy with jokes on every rapper since 1971. Let's Laugh Day is a chance to have a chuckle with the ones you love and your friends, but no rubber chickens not required.
Yeah, they even have
back that up.
They even have laugh. I think it's laugh yoga or something.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I've been to a few. Yeah, those are nice.
And I've never been to one, but I heard it's amazing. And that's the other thing is ask yourself. I mean, genuinely, when is the last time you laughed? Not chuckled, not smiled, but that deep belly laugh. Where you're doubling over. It hurts so much. Your sides are achy. Maybe you're almost peeing in your pants because it's just crazy. When have you laughed like that? I mean, I know when I get in that state of joy and exhilaration, afterwards, I just feel like there's been this huge release, right? Energy release, like, and then it's funny because when you start laughing, right? And then someone's laughing with you, then you can't stop. It's like it's infectious. You're bouncing back and forth.
So get that. Now they're saying this is the funny part. He says Laugh Day, 24-hour joke fest. So when March 19th comes around, just get ready for the jokes. Get prepared because it's a 24-hour cycle. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Yes.
And we have, I think. I'm sorry, I had another one here. Last one, International March 10th. I skipped. I should have went that before to get laughed. Sorry about that. March 10th, International Day of Happiness.
Oh, that's March 20th.
Oh, March 20th. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's March 20th. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're in order.
I see the text and okay. March 20th. You're right. March 20th, International Happiness Day is celebrated throughout the world on March 20th. It was established by the United Nations General Assembly on the 28th of June, 2012. International Day of Happiness aims to make people around the world realize the importance of happiness within their lives. In 2015, the United Nations launched 17 susceptible development goals to make people's lives happier. Its main development goals are eradicated poverty, reduced inequality, and protected our planet. the United Nations invites people of all ages to join in celebrating the International Day of Happiness.
And again, what did we hear? We heard the word inequality.
It's
So
all
everything that we've talked about, again, it ties back to it. Even us sharing the dates of the religious holidays, that's all about embracing diversity, because we're not of the same faiths and beliefs, right? But we can accept someone for what they believe and who they are. They don't have to come over to our side, whatever our side happens to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I know this wasn't, I know we're kind of closing up with the days, but I really want to bring this day out too, because it has to do with the whole concept with the Women's of the Month and equality and everything. Is on March 24th is National Equal Pay Day. Yeah. So this day symbolizes how far into the year women must work to earn what men earned in previous years. Equal Pay Day was originated by the National Committee of Pay Equality in 1996 as a public awareness event to illustrate the gap between men and women wages. Because women earn less on average than men, and we have talked about this many times in our group, they must work longer for the same amount of pay. The wage pay is even greater for most women of color. So that is deemed for March 24th.
Right. And so this goes back to a conversation Barbara and I were having on last night in CY Live. And when we're talking about equity and inequality, and to not, as a woman, to not discount another woman's experience by saying we're all the same, we all experience the same thing. No, we don't. And this is and I love that you brought this up, because this is a classic example. So when you're looking at white women, that's what this is. National Equal Pay Day is the time when there's going to be pay parity or equality between every dollar a white man earned in 2023. A white woman has to work an extra 3 months to get the same amount of pay. For African Americans, Equal Pay Day is in August. That's 8 months. For Hispanics and Native American and Alaskan Native, that is in November. 11 more months that they have to work to earn what a white man earned last year. So when we are talking about, disparities, there's disparities among us as women, right? They're the communities that are marginalized, disadvantaged, whatever term you want to use. And if we want to do better, if we want to see growth within our communities, especially communities of color, we have to recognize it's not the same, right? If I know that my earning power as an African-American woman at the time that I retire is literally a little over $1 million less than a white woman my age who retires at the same time.
Numbers don't
Think
lie.
about that.
Wow.
Right. Think about your lifestyle, quality of life, access to healthcare, ability to take care of aging parents and not rely on, on state facilities. The ability to develop and to develop generational wealth. So we can talk in theory all day long, but until we deal with the facts and realize there are clear differences, then we're spinning and we're enjoying the sound of our own voice, but are we really bringing change? Like, white women get upset if I'm hired for a certain job and I'm making, I'll just use simple math. Let's say it's an entry-level engineer and the white man earns $100,000 and the white woman comes and she gets the same job and she's earning $80,000. And the black woman comes the exact same job and she's making $64,000. And the Hispanic, Latino, or Native American and Alaskan Natives are coming in doing the exact same job and they're making $50,000. Think about it. Think about it. Think about how much more you're able to do if you have the financial means. That's access to food, housing, education, healthcare, so much. So and Barbara, I'd like you to jump in on this because I'm really passionate about it. We have a lot of women's groups, and I love those that are truly advocates and know that in order to bring change, it requires lobbying, it requires partnerships at the local, state, federal levels, national levels, international levels. It requires corporate partnerships. But in a lot of these groups, I hear people say, well, you're getting too political. I mean, I was actually even admonished in a group for being political. I'm like, how am I being political if I'm telling you they're about to change women's rights? If you don't want to see the change, you might want to go to the polls. You might want to write letters. But that was political. I'm like, but it impacts my well-being. My niece, who's younger than me, doesn't have the same rights that I did coming up. That's an issue. Barbara.
Huge issue. And I like LaWanna said, Mike, you need to go to the polls. You need to write those letters. It's so important. I don't know what it is right now where we can't speak on these issues that are so important about the human race, especially when it comes to women. And when you tell me, well, it's so easy. When I see that, I know right there that already just destroys my mind already, because I'm like, you're about to wave this off or make an excuse or say, let's move on or something of that nature. And while you're doing that, laws are being put out there, taking away certain things that people fought for and died for, went to jail for a long time and died in jail. Some people have. But then you're like, no. That's just like, so when you answer that, I feel like you said and to everybody that we were on their shoulders that was working and fighting for this. So you're just saying all that was just, and that's basically what we're saying when we don't put our voice out there and don't say something about it. Be aware of it. But it's one thing to be aware of something. It's funny, I was having a conversation last night with somebody about this. Well, I was aware. I was aware. I just got aware. I said, okay, you know what? I'm glad you're aware. And maybe I was strong because I felt myself being strong with this person. I said, but what you going to do about it now? And I ask myself that question to me all the time. Yes, you're aware of the fact. You're aware about there's not equal pay. Now, what's the next step? We need to do the next step. We could be aware of anything. Yeah, the sky is blue. We're aware of that. Yeah, there's a lake over there. We're aware of that. But what are you going to do with all the destruction in the lake, with all that garbage? I'm just using that as an example about now we got to take the next action.
And some people may think, well, it's just me. What can I do? Well, if you're in certain seats and positions of power and you know how systems work, then maybe it's, why don't I pass this information on? Why don't I share? We've heard, talk about the good old boy network. Well, there's a good old girl network too. And we talk about busting glass ceilings. Well, women of color are trying to break through walls. We're still trying to get these shackles off of us, right? So that's real world. When you really look at the numbers, they infuriate me. Mm-hmm. They really do. And it's tragic that in 2024, the average woman, I'm going to just talk about entrepreneurs. The average woman of color entrepreneur earns less than $50,000 as a small business owner. Think about that. That's all your business made, but you got to provide for your family, business expenses, taxes. Yeah. 50,000? But no one's talking about this. Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't say no one. There are certain groups. Obviously, the group that came up with Women Who Advocate for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, they are very incensed about this. They are boots on the ground. There's grassroots efforts and initiatives that are going on that are being the voice of the marginalized community as well as the greater woman population. around the world. America is the richest nation in the world. So think about if this is what we are facing here. Now go to emerging countries and ask what they're living on. And why is Clean Water Initiative so paramount? And how many miles some women have to walk a day to get water for their families? Or girls that aren't able to have education because of their system, their culture says the education choice first goes to the son. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's like the world isn't your little bubble, and it's great that some of us feel that maybe you've made it, maybe you've arrived, but, and I believe it might have been MLK or maybe it was Coretta Scott King that was like, when one person is oppressed,
everybody,
we all are oppressed. Humanity right now is groaning around the world, groaning. Are you hearing the groan? Or you don't want to hear it, don't want to see it? I'm good.
Yeah.
But are you really good? Because Barbara often talks about only 3% of women in the United States are comfortable today with where they will be when they retire. 3%. 97 are very concerned. Will I have enough? But we don't want to talk about it. I believe when we start talking about it, changing the narrative, then we can begin shifting policies and opening doors of opportunity where not only we have seats at the table, but where we're building a table that other people, diverse voices can be included, and where we truly have equity and opportunity. Then we change the world. So, Barbara, I'll let you close us out because you know I can stay on this soapbox a long time.
Yeah, because I was thinking about someone. I said, nope. I'll come back. We'll come back. Like this.
Yeah, we've got the whole month. I mean, I love. I'm like, yes, it's a great theme.
I said part 3, part 4. I mean, it continues on. Yeah, we do have more to come. But with that, we just thank everybody for being on Coffee and Conversations CC with LB. I love it. I can't wait for the replay and the video coming. But with that, we just want to remind everybody just to put your heart up, as we always do. And remember, I always think when we put this heart, just remember the love, right? So loving yourself is first. So we always say, love yourself, and always pumping. It's always should be pumping there, right? And then we want to just do that. Embrace yourself, embrace ourselves, right? Ooh, the hugs. But whatever you do, celebrate you.
Celebrate you. We'll see you all next month for another edition of CNC with LB.